went straight down the middle.
It's time for the Golf Show, presented by Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, and the Pga Tour Superstore. The Golf Show takes a weekly look at golf in East Central Indiana and beyond. And now, here's your host, Brian Hammons.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Golf Show, brought to you by Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management, French Lick Resort, and the Pga Tour Superstore. I am Brian Hammons. Our producer, Nick Isbell, back in the studio. We're coming to you live today from the Anderson Country Club, which means it's a minor miracle we're even on the air, because I, by my lonesome, had to set this thing up technically. So if something happens and we go off the air, it's my fault. I guarantee it, because we've been lucky so far. We're on the air, and that's a good start. Joining me throughout the show today is Brian Garrett, the General Manager and Director of Golf here at the Anderson Country Club. And Brian, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it appears to me that you've come through this awful spring in pretty good shape.
Well, that's very kind. It's been as bad of a spring as I've seen since I've been in the business. I've been in since 2002, and it's just been a really rough spring. I know all operators around are, it's been a struggle. So the good thing is that it's a lot of rain, so the grass should be green everywhere. Grass is growing everywhere. All of your yards should be spectacular, but it's not great for revenue in golf. But I think we're through it. I want to knock on wood. We were supposed to have a bad week this week with rain, but I think we've gotten pretty lucky, at least here. So it's June 8th, and we're ready to really get into the full swing of golf season and have some consistent days to play in a row, and it's nice.
Now, one thing that you're seeing is when you have a nice day, you're packed because people are chomping at the bit to get out and play.
Yeah, and that usually happens like late April, not first part of June into May. So, yeah, it's nice when the weather finally breaks. Unfortunately for us, it's been late this year.
If someone is not familiar with the Anderson Country Club and wants to know more about it and perhaps become a member, how would you describe this golf course?
Oh, it's fun to play. You can play it fast. It's an old, we were talking before, it's an old Parkland-style golf course. The fairways and greens are smooth. Now you're getting some bounce out there. It doesn't play too long, so for the average player, it is a very enjoyable thing. We have a lot of out-of-county members that will come here and play. They can play in, 3.5 hours and get around and get back home to take care of those responsibilities. So it really appeals to families with small children. We had social golf last night with childcare, so we had a lot of couples and groups out playing last night. So it's starting to appeal more to a younger crowd.
And this is a good golf course for all skill levels, correct? From the really good player to the high handicap.
Yeah, it's a good challenge from the back tees. It's not the longest golf course in the world. It's almost 6,700 yards, about 6,620 from the back tees. But we've redone some tee boxes and gotten it playable more for ladies, more for juniors. Our seniors enjoy, moving up to the green silver, the green white combo, or the green tees. We have 4 sets of boxes. The silver tees are the forward boxes, which our juniors usually play. Some of our ladies and some of our super seniors. So and even for good lady players that want to back it up and play a little bit more, we have a green silver combination, and then the green is still a good challenge.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play, but you got to hit it straight. Take it from me.
Yeah, you do. There's some trees out here that have been here quite a long time, and they're big and they're hardy. So you don't want to get in. You don't want to get in those. You definitely want to keep in the fairway.
All right, we've got a really good show for you today. Coming up later, we're going to be really heavily talking about the U.S. Open coming up next week. David Marr III will join us and talk about that. Tom Meeks, the former director of rules and competition for the USGA, he's a local guy, and for many, many years, he was the one that set up the U.S. Open venues. And we'll get his thoughts on the recent controversies surrounding the setups by the USGA at the U.S. Open. And Nancy Anderson will join us later, and we'll talk about a really good charity event that I host coming up later this week, and we hope that you can get involved with. But first, let's take a look at what's happening in the professional golf, starting at the RBC Canadian Open at the Hamilton Golf and Country Club, a really good golf course just outside Toronto and Hamilton, Ontario. Scott Brown and Matt Kuchar are tied for the lead at 12 under par. Brant Snedeker shot 60 yesterday, but wasn't good enough to get him into the lead. He's a shot back at 11 under par. Nick Taylor also one back at 11 under par. And some notable names, Rory McIlroy is at 7 under. Dustin Johnson is at 5 under heading into the final 2 rounds. And the thing that's interesting here, Brian, to me is that on the PGA Tour, you can't pay appearance fees. You go play anywhere around the world, and these top players can earn a lot of money. They will pay you a lot of money just to play in their tournament to try to sell tickets. Well, you can't do that on the PGA Tour, but there are ways around it. Take RBC, for example, the Royal Bank of Canada. They sponsor, obviously, the RBC Canadian Open. I still think they're the sponsor of the RBC Heritage at Hilton Head. I might be wrong. That might have expired, but I do believe they're still the sponsor of the RBC Heritage at Hilton Head. So what they do is they go sign a stable of players to a sponsorship. Players like Matt Kuchar, Brandt Snedeker, 2 of the players that are up there battling for the lead, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson. These players usually wouldn't be playing this week. It's the week before the U.S. Open. Most of these guys, I think, like to take that week off. But because of their contract with RBC, they're in Canada this week. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But it's interesting how you can kind of circumvent the rules if you're a corporate sponsor like that and get big names to your tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. RBC is a phenomenal supporter of golf, and that it's great. Obviously, with the schedule changes, I think this event used to be back in July. So yeah. I'm assuming that the guys that are playing this week that are contractually obligated through RBC would probably prefer this to not be the week before the U.S. Open,
absolutely,
especially when the U.S. Open's on the West Coast. But yeah, that is definitely a way to do it. And you've got some big names, and they certainly, like Dustin Johnson did not play last week at the Memorial, which is kind of surprising, but probably the reason why is because
he had to play this week.
He's going to play this week, right? There are ways around it, but that looks like a really fun place to play. I've never been up there, but it looks. I mean, it's pretty easy to grow grass up there and keep it lush.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good golf courses up there. One other thing I want to tell you about, and if you have a chance, this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, are the high school state finals. And if you have a chance, go see it. It's really a great event. The top 15 teams coming out of regionals have qualified for the state finals. The top 25 individuals, top 5 from each regional site. So there's 25 playing as individuals. Their teams did not advance, so they're advancing as individuals. It takes place Tuesday and Wednesday at Prairie View Golf Club in Carmel, and the quality of golf that you will see is off the charts here in Indiana. You may not think that because it's not a southern state, but you will see so many Division I players, soon-to-be Division I players playing on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's great golf, and Cohout and O'Neill and the Prairie View Golf Club do a great job of making this a very big event. It's really a special event for these kids who have qualified. And if you get a chance, if you're just a golf fan, even if you don't know anybody that's playing, I would encourage you to go check out the state finals this week at Prairie View.
Big congrats to my alma mater, the Yorktown Tigers, who finished second in their regional
and are
advancing. That's awesome, and good luck to them. Big ups to them. They do a great job at Prairie View. They do a lot to make that a special event.
They really
not
do.
Just hosting a golf tournament. It is a special event out there. It's a destination. I definitely encourage you to go out there and see. That's a good golf course, good players, like you said. A lot of them play golf. Indiana is it has a very good junior golf program and has done a good job of cultivating that throughout the years.
All right, I encourage you to go see that, and we'll come back with David Marr and talk about the U.S. Open coming up next week at Pebble Beach. You're listening to The Golf Show on the new WHBU and Muncie Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Brian Hammons. If you're looking for a private, affordable, fun golf course, check out the Anderson Country Club. It's one of the oldest courses in Indiana, and pace of play is never a problem. It's a charming, old-school club with modern amenities, like brand new golf carts and a new bar and casual dining area to go along with the formal dining room. It's a great place to create memories with family and friends. To learn more, go to andersoncountryclub.net and click on the membership tab.
It's time to Get ready at the new Pga Tour Superstore. Get ready for custom-fit clubs. Get ready for expert advice and lessons from our certified teaching pros. Get ready for the largest selection of clubs, apparel, shoes, and more. Get ready, because the Pga Tour Superstore in Indianapolis is now open. Located at Clearwater Crossing.
If you want to take your golf game to the next level, or if you're just taking up the sport, see Tom Harris at the Delaware Country Club in Muncie. The former Indiana PGA Professional of the Year guarantees that you'll improve, either with one-on-one lessons or through his popular women's clinics or the junior golf program. And if you need clubs, Tom can custom fit you from driver to putter using all the latest technology like TrackMan 4. For more information, go to TomHarrisGolf.com or stop by the Delaware Country Club at 510 South Country Club Road in Muncie.
Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management is Central Indiana's premier golf management company, providing management and consulting services to some of the top golf courses in the Hoosier State. Courses like Prairie View Golf Club in Carmel, Woodwind Golf Club in Westfield, Crestwood Country Club in Avon, Mystic Hills Golf Club in Culver, and here locally, Elwood Golf Links in Elwood. If your favorite golf course is searching for a new direction in leadership and management, go with the best. Visit CohoutandO'Neill.com.
It's a Pete Dye masterpiece, the Pete Dye course at French Lick Resort. Pete says its location on one of the highest points in Indiana makes it special.
The long views, you can see maybe 20 and 30 miles from many of the fairways and many of the tees and greens, and you can see it in 360 degrees.
Donald Ross's Hill Course put French Lick on the golf map more than 100 years ago. It's where Walter Hagen won the 1924 PGA Championship, and the place where today's Symetra Tour ladies battle each year.
It's the ambience around it that makes the golf course.
Combine our many resort amenities with legendary golf, and you have a getaway like no other. French Lick Resort is the home of the Senior LPGA Championship, won in 2018 by World Golf Hall of Famer Laura Davies. Play the courses champions play. Plan your trip now, online at FrenchLick.com.
I'm attorney Mitch Pippin. Maybe you've heard some of my commercials in the past and wondered, who is this guy? Well, I graduated from Delta High School in 1988 and Ball State in 1992. After graduating from law school just 3 years later, I've represented over 1,000 folks with their injury claims. I've done so with great success, 0 disciplinary complaints, and an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If you've been injured and need help in dealing with the insurance company, call me at 282-0282 or visit MitchPippinLaw.com.
Your future is full of big dreams. You can't wait to answer the question.
Will you marry me?
And share the joy when the two of you become 3. And to help guide your family down new roads, even if those life moments seem far away now. The state of Indiana offers down payment assistance and other benefits. See participating lenders at homeownership.in.gov.
This message is sponsored by the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority and this station.
I hit it hard, man. So far, man. No laying up, no holding back. Ain't afraid of nothing, it's a natural fact. I hit it long, man. I hit it hard.
And welcome back to the Golf Show, brought to you by Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, and the PGA Tour Superstore. We're coming to you today live from the Anderson Country Club, and joining me today is the General Manager and Director of Golf, Brian Garrett. And joining us on the phone now is a longtime friend from the Golf Channel. You can hear him now on Sirius XM and as part of the broadcast team for Fox coming up next week, David Marr. David, good morning.
Great to be on your show, Brian.
Hey, how many U.S. Opens is this going to be for you?
Oh, man. I don't have the full count, but it started in 1974, and I've missed a couple since then. So, and I'm only counting the ones that I was involved with and kind of worked on and things along those lines. I mean, when I went with my mom and my dad when he was playing, and I was a toddler, I don't remember all of those. But 74, I started working at Wingfoot for ABC, getting Cokes. I was 12 years old, getting Cokes for the production truck folks, and ended up graduating to a $25 a day spotting and scoring job, which I thought I was rich back in 1978. But I was too young to actually work and get a check. So I had to lie and say I was 18, but at that point I was, 16, and did that for a couple of years, and then just progressed from there until finally one day I got to work alongside you, man. That was great.
So, obviously, you've seen a lot of U.S. Opens. What was your favorite U.S. Open memory? What's it been so far?
Had to be 1980 at Baltusrol. It was, near my hometown, born and raised in Manhattan. But more than that, there were two golfers when I grew up that were more than heroes. They were really role models, folks that took care of us when we were out on the course, whose wives were literally second mothers to most of us out there. It was Arnold and Jack. And in 1980, Jack hadn't won a major championship in a couple of years. It was kind of a thought that maybe he was at the tail end of his career, just turning 40 years old. Not many people win majors after 40. And at Baltusrol, I had graduated from the spotting and scoring into my first real job, which was carrying the clipboard and batteries for Bob Rosberg. And now Rossi was always with the best group of the day, and so we followed Jack for 36 holes. I was inside the ropes Saturday and Sunday in his epic battle with Isao Aoki, and when the guy put the Jack is back sign up on the leaderboard as Jack is winning his, at that point I guess it must have been his 18th major championship, his 16th professional, it was so electric in the gallery, and such an outpouring of love for a guy who, frankly, when he first came out, there was a lot of hard feelings about the way he just assumed the mantle immediately. I mean, his first win as a professional with the U.S. Open in '62 and in the playoff against Arnold, and the hard feelings didn't really go away for years and years. And in 1980, though, he was more embraced as a champion than he ever had been before, and I was just so thrilled to be a part of that inside the ropes, seeing it happen to a man who had been so friendly and nice and generous to me, even though he wasn't so generous when it came to trophy ceremonies for other golfers.
What's been your favorite venue, U.S. Open-wise?
Got to be Pebble. Not just the U.S. Open, but the PGA Championship. And I belong to two U.S. Open courses, so I mean, this is blasphemy for me. But Pebble Beach isn't just a great venue for a U.S. Open. It's a great piece of land, a magical place in our game. That frankly, when I go out there for the Champions Tour events, I work for the tournament during the week of the Champions Tour event. It's magical just to spend time at the lodge, walk the course in the morning, even if you're not playing. So when you go out there watching a U.S. Open, there's just always some kind of dramatic bit of history that's going to go on that happens even more so than other U.S. Opens. But you also get the aura of the Monterey Peninsula. You get the beautiful coastline, and you just get the majesty of Pebble Beach. It's a combination that's just unmatched in tournament golf anyway.
Well, obviously that's where the U.S. Open is going to be held next week. Now, the last few years, the United States Golf Association has been criticized for the U.S. Open setups. Fair or unfair, in your opinion?
Fair. Fair, probably overdone by millennial golfers that are playing for a whole ton of money. But if you have course setups that don't reward good shots and penalize bad shots, then you've got a setup that is not fair. Difficult does not mean unfair, but there have been unfair setups and maybe just setups where, like last year at Shinnecock on Thursday, only a couple of hole locations. But why do you need to do that, especially after the experiences from 2004 at Shinnecock, where they really got out of hand on Sunday? And I just think the USGA has, in trying to protect par, I guess is what the mindset is, they just have gone too far to where if the setup is something you're ever talking about at a major championship, someone's done something wrong. They don't talk about it at Augusta, even when they lengthen the course and all that, to discuss it, a little bit in terms of what the practical changes are. But they don't talk about the setup being fair or unfair. Open Championship the same way, PGA Championship never. And now the USGA, it seems like it's a consistent thing. They're going to have to go a few years of not just with the course setup, but the venue selections as well, just making sure that they're national championship quality and not kind of overreaching in some areas.
They can't screw up Pebble Beach, though, can they?
I don't think they can. It's funny, on my show the other day, my brother Tony said, because he was an assistant pro out there, and together we've been in there, 100 times or so. He thinks it's unbreakable. If If it doesn't rain, though, they can make those greens, the 8th green I'm thinking about, the 1st green, the 13th green, they can make those greens so hard that any kind of a shot will not stay on those greens. I cannot imagine them doing that this year. But then again, I would have said the exact same thing prior to Shinnecock. You're going back, you can't risk messing that place up again. You certainly can't risk making the setup or any part of the USGA's responsibilities for staging the championship can't be a part of the discussion, a week from Monday.
Now, Pebble Beach, in my opinion, David, brings more players into contention than we've seen the last few years when you're playing in a real big ballpark. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, because the shot makers get a chance to be there and play. I mean, if you take a look at the champions, it was, the two best players in golf, one in 72 and 82, and then you had the best guy who never won a major, and Tom Kite in 92, and Graham McDowell's a heck of a player, but the last two aren't huge long hitters. Watson was relatively long, but he wasn't a masher like Nicklaus and the others. So length is always going to be an advantage, because if you've got the length, then you're getting, less club into greens or less clubs off the tee. So it's going to be an advantage to a degree, but it's not a necessity at Pebble. You're 100% right. Not just more players, but almost all players, because frankly, it also doesn't take that much to get to understand what Pebble is all about, where you want to put the ball, where you don't want to miss the greens, the tiniest greens you're going to see in a U.S. Open. So it's one where there'll be many more people, I think, involved towards the end than we're used to seeing in U.S. Opens of late.
We had Lanny Watkins on a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about how he thinks Pebble Beach will really challenge Brooks Koepka's game as he tries to win the U.S. Open for the 3rd consecutive year.
I think it absolutely will, but I think Brooks Koepka loves challenges. Just like Tiger the year that he barely hit a driver off the tee, I think you're going to end up seeing Brooks show that his game can travel to a course where it's not just a bomber and a gouger's course, and that's not how he won at Shinnecock or any of the 4 majors that he's won. I think he'll test his game more than ever before. I think he will hear that, consider it a challenge, and frankly, his putter has helped him win major championships as well over the last 8 starts as far as majors are concerned. I do think it'll be more of a challenge, not just because he's got to hit different shots and his length isn't negated, but it isn't as much of an advantage. But the point you just made prior to talking about what Lanny said, more players are going to be in the mix. And he says in the major championships, he immediately eliminates half the field because they're too awestruck, let's say, to play. A lot of the qualifiers, amateurs, folks like that in the U.S. Open. But then of the next half, he's only got to beat about half the field. Well, for the players that are in the U.S. Open and not awestruck, they're mostly all going to have a chance to win the U.S. Open. So now, rather than the rest of the field whittling themselves down to the final dozen or so that Brooks felt like he needed to beat, and it's what he says over and over in his press conferences, there's going to be more than a dozen guys that are there with the wherewithal to win this tournament, being that they're ready to win majors, skilled enough to win majors, and not completely overtaken by the moment. So I think the number of people who are in the mix will also be a difficult thing for Brooks. I mean, it's why no one's won 3 in a row since Willie in early 1900.
David, when and where can we hear your radio show?
Well, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. East Coast. Mornings with Mars, so you can wake up early and come on. You were on it once before, and it was a treat to have you on because you've meant so much, not just to the game of golf, but also to me personally when I was at the Golf Channel. If I was ever trying to figure out how to do my job, I just looked across the newsroom or when we were out on the road together, looked across the trailer and saw how professional you were and what you did, whether it's preparing what you were doing or just going about doing your business. And so always been great to have you as a role model, Brian. So anyone who wants to listen to me, only if Brian's not on the air, 6 to 8 Eastern on Sirius XM.
David, those are some very kind words, and I really appreciate that. I really do miss working with you and the guys at the Golf Channel, but those were certainly some good memories. Thanks for joining us today. Best of luck with your broadcast next week with Fox.
A pleasure, Brian. Anytime. And who are you pulling for next week? Can you pull for people now that you've got the radio show? Are you allowed to have favorites?
Yeah, but I still like to see Tiger win next week. You know, I just think he's so good for the game of golf when he's winning, and obviously the ratings reflect that.
So many storylines next week. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you, David. That's David Marr. You heard him on the Golf Channel. Now you can hear him on Sirius XM Radio from 6 to 8 in the morning. I'm shocked that David Marr can get up that early to do a radio show from 6 to 8, having known him for so many years. But good for him. You can hear him on Sirius XM Radio, and you can hear him next week on the digital coverage for Fox Sports from Pebble Beach. We'll come back and talk more about the U.S. Open and the setup with Tom Meeks. You're listening to The Golf Show on the new WHBU and Muncie Sports Radio.
Cohoe and O'Neill Golf Management is a true friend of golf. They not only provide management and consulting services to some of the top courses in the state, Cohoe and O'Neill courses host some of the most prestigious golf events in Indiana as well, including numerous Indiana Opens, state amateurs, and the boys and girls high school state finals. If you want to take your course to the next level, go with the team at Cohoe and O'Neill. For more information, visit cohoeandoneill.com.
This is your breakfast wake-up call from Panera Bread. Don't start your day with a greasy processed breakfast. At Panera, breakfast to go no longer means to settle. Wake up with their new maple glazed bacon, scrambled egg and cheese breakfast wrap. And pair it with their new Madagascar vanilla cold brew. All made 100% clean and ready with rapid pickup or delivery with the push of a button. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that means compromising isn't an option. Panera, food as it should be. Restrictions apply.
Hi, I'm Brian Hammons. If you're tired of driving a half hour or longer to buy your golf equipment or apparel, don't. You don't have to be a member to shop at the Anderson Country Club's golf shop. They carry great clothing lines like Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, and Puma, and top-of-the-line clubs from TaylorMade, Callaway, and Titleist. And if you think you're saving money by driving to the big box stores, you're not. So save the gas and stock up on all your golf needs at the Anderson Country Club at 602 North Shore Boulevard in Anderson.
At Indeed, we understand that when it comes to hiring, it's important to have a large talent pool to choose from. But sometimes too many good options can be overwhelming. That's why Indeed doesn't just give you access to a large pool of job seekers. We also offer screener tools that let you instantly narrow down your search. Hone in on hiring with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
It's a Pete Dye masterpiece, the Pete Dye course at French Lick Resort. Pete says its location on one of the highest points in Indiana makes it special.
The long views. You can see maybe 20 and 30 miles from many of the fairways and many of the tees and greens, and you can see it in 360 degrees.
Donald Ross's Hill Course put French Lick on the golf map more than 100 years ago. It's where Walter Hagen won the 1924 PGA Championship, and the place where today's Symetra Tour ladies battle each year.
It's the ambience around it that makes the golf course.
Combine our many resort amenities with legendary golf, and you have a getaway like no other. French Lick Resort is the home of the Senior LPGA Championship, won in 2018 by World Golf Hall of Famer Laura Davies. Play the courses champions play. Plan your trip now, online at FrenchLick.com.
It's time to get ready at the new Pga Tour Superstore. Get ready for custom-fit clubs. Get ready for expert advice and lessons from our certified teaching pros. Get ready for the largest selection of clubs, apparel, shoes, and more. Get ready, because the Pga Tour Superstore in Indianapolis is now open. Located at Clearwater Crossing.
Find huge savings now through Sunday during Menards Crazy Day Sale. Finish your projects with Rust-Oleum spray paints. Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra Cover is $247 after rebate. Buy one Sun Moon Star Solar Light at $4.99 and get one free. Make your yard stand out with Forever Green Turf Food, $9.95. Relax in a hanging lounger, $129.99 after rebate. These deals are so crazy, they're available in store only while supplies last. So hurry in to save big during Menards Crazy Day Sale.
Save big money at Menards. I hit it hard, man. So far, man. No laying up, no holding back. Ain't afraid of nothing, it's a natural fact. I hit it long, man. I hit it hard.
And we're back on the Golf Show, brought to you by Cohoed and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, and the PGA Tour Superstore, coming to you live today from the Anderson Country Club. Our guest all day in the studio, actually in the bar, is Brian Garrett, the general manager and director of golf here at the Anderson Country Club. And joining us now is a local man and a friend of mine, former director of rules and competition for the USGA, and there's nobody better qualified to talk about the setups at a U.S. Open than this guy, because he set up the U.S. Open venues for so many years. Tom Meeks joins us now. Tom, how are you?
I'm great, Brian. Nice to hear from you.
So how many years did you set up U.S. Open venues?
The last 10 of my 30 years with the USGA, which would have been from 1996 to 2005.
Now, there's been some criticism recently about the U.S. Open setups. When you went about it, what was your philosophy when you set up a U.S. Open venue?
Well, I learned from P.J. Boatwright, who was my boss for 20 years, and he learned from Joe Dye, who was his boss for many years. And I think what you were trying to do is to make the golf course for a U.S. Open as hard as you could, but still fair. That's a pretty fine line to deal, or to provide the players. But, you want it hard. And, of course, the players, often got upset or criticized various things because the U.S. Open was set up so much harder than most of the courses they played for the PGA Tour. And a lot of the players were mad before they ever got there. And I thought, in fact, I've heard Jack Nicklaus say, if someone's mad and hard and upset about the setup of the U.S. Open before it ever starts, he says, I don't have to worry about beating them. And I thought that was a pretty good comment from Jack. Yeah, the golf course was supposed to be hard, and the players knew that. So. I was always.
You said it's a fine line between making it hard and keeping it fair. Did you ever cross that line?
Oh yeah, not intentionally, Brian. I guess the first example would be at the Olympic Club in San Francisco. I chose a whole location. For the second day, a back left on the green, as you call the whole locations front or back or middle and left and right, but this was a back left, and I knew when I said it that it could cause some problems. And see, right there, I went against my philosophy. My philosophy was make it hard but make it fair. And I just had a little feeling that the back left of the Olympic Club might not work, and it didn't. We had several players whose ball ended up rolling quite a distance below the hole. Primarily Tom Lehman and Payne Stewart were the two players who were affected the most. And as a result of that, and again, it wasn't. I didn't want it to be that way. As a result, Tom Lehman and Payne Stewart and I all became good friends because they knew it wasn't done intentionally, and I knew that I just went against my philosophy, and it was a big lesson to me.
The USGA has undergone a lot of criticism the last few years about their setups. Is that criticism, in your opinion, fair?
Well, the way I looked at it, you always knew when the U.S. Open was going to be played because the players did start criticizing the setup. And Brian, this has been going on for forever, not just recently. Now, yes, last year they had a couple things go wrong with the setup, but again, I always said that to set up a U.S. Open golf course is like the Indy 500. for a player to win the Indy 500, he's got to take some chances. And with the U.S. Open, you set a golf course up, but you don't want someone to crash like in the Indy 500 where they could in trying to take some chances to win the race. So we didn't want it to go over the line, and yet every now and then it did. But I really do think, Brian, that when we did go over the line, we learned something from it. It was not done intentionally. In other words, we're not going to go out there and set a hole on a green that's on a slope and say, let's see how these guys can handle this. We're not going to do that. We're going to set holes as difficult as we can, but it's also going to be fair. And sometimes sometimes you miss that. You miss that mark.
We've seen some players in social media talking about the setup this year at Pebble Beach. I'm sure you've set up the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. How would you do it this year if you were setting up the golf course?
Well, I love Pebble Beach, and the USGA loves Pebble Beach because, number one, you don't have to worry about lightning. It just hardly ever has any lightning in that area. So that takes one situation out of the picture where you don't have to worry about weather. I have not been back to Pebble Beach since my last U.S. Open there was when Tiger won by, I think he won by 15 shots. He was 12 under.
Right.
And Ernie Els, who was second, was 3 over. So that turned out to be a great setup. I'll tell you a little story about Tiger. He came to me during one of the practice rounds, I think Monday or Tuesday, and he says, I don't like what you've done to the second hole. Now, for your listeners, the second hole at Pebble Beach is played as a par 5, and I think it's about, maybe 510 or 15 yards from the back tee. Well, I moved the tees up about 10 yards, and we played it as a par 4, right around 500 yards. So Tiger comes up to me and he says, Tom, I don't like what you did on the second hole. I said, oh, really? He says, yeah. He said, that's supposed to be a par 5, and you've got it planned as a par 4. Well, I said, Tiger, let me ask you a question. What are you hitting on that hole? And he said, well, driver, 5 or 6 iron. I said, now, is that a par 5? I thought a par 5 was a hole that a good golfer would hit in 3 and 2 putt. That's how they determine the par. And you're hitting a driver 5 or 6 iron. That's not a par 5. Not for you guys. Not for good players. So I played it as a par 4, of course. And he gave me some he gave me a little criticism about it, but nothing big. Generally at a U.S. Open, among several things that the USGA does to prepare the golf course is generally they will take 2 of the par 5s, maybe you could call them easier par 5s, and play them as par 4s. And right there, Brian, you can understand or do the math on it. You're taking 8 shots away from them in reference to par. But that's something that the USGA has been doing for a long time. Look at these par 5s today for these players. Almost all of them are hitting all the par 5s in 2. So, generally speaking, what was a par 5 is really playing more like a par 4. And the USGA has been doing that for a long time. And that works out all right. I had the same experience with Payne Stewart at Pinehurst. He got upset with me for playing the 16th hole as a par 4 when it normally plays as a par 5 for members there or people who play there. And he got mad at me. He says, I don't like what you've done to the 16th hole. I said, oh, really? He says, yeah. He says, that green's not meant to be played from a long way out, like maybe a 3 or 4 wood. He says, that green's not built for that kind of a shot. I said, I'll tell you what I'll do, Payne. Right now we're playing it as right around a 500-yard par 4, But I said, I'll move the tees all the way back, and that's just maybe another 10 or 12 yards, and we'll play it as a par 5 if you promise me that you and all the other players in this U.S. Open will not go for the green in 2 because it's not meant to have that kind of a shot played into it. And he looked at me and says, "You're impossible," and walked away from me. But
last question for you, and we got about 30 seconds left. But let's play hypothetical here. A good amateur player plays Pebble Beach under normal conditions and can break 80. What's he going to shoot in U.S. Open conditions?
85, maybe 86. Definitely higher. Definitely higher. With the
so
rough,
it's only 5 or 6 shots higher for a good player?
I think so. For a good player now. I think that with narrow fairways, a good high rough, and good, fast, firm greens, yes, sir. I think that's what's going to happen. At least 6 shots higher.
Well, Tom, I appreciate you spending some time with us. It's always insightful to hear your thoughts talking about golf course setups, especially the U.S. Open setup. So we got to go to a break, but I'm really happy with what the Bulldogs are doing. Good recruiting class. I'm looking forward to basketball season. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
Okay, Brad. Thanks a lot, and go Bulldogs.
Absolutely. The great Tom Meeks, former Director of Rules and Competition for the USGA. We'll be back. You're listening to The Golf Show on the new WHBU and Muncie Sports Radio.
It's time to get ready at the new Pga Tour Superstore. Get ready for custom-fit clubs. Get ready for expert advice and lessons from our certified teaching pros. Get ready for the largest selection of clubs, apparel, shoes, and more. Get ready, because the Pga Tour Superstore in Indianapolis is now open. Located at Clearwater Crossing.
Lowe's knows dads do it right by having go-to brands and knowing where to get them. We do it right, too, with savings on the brands he loves that also make great Father's Day gifts he'll love. Stop in today during Craftsman Days for all kinds of deals on Craftsman tools and power equipment, like a Craftsman 21-inch gas push mower now for just $199. For the perfect gift to make his day. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offer valid through 6/19. See store for details, U.S. only.
Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management is Central Indiana's premier golf management company, providing management and consulting services to some of the top courses in the state. But that's not all. The Cohout and O'Neill Caddy program has sent 10 high school caddies to college on full rides to IU and Purdue through the Chick Evans Caddy Scholarship, the most of any operation in the state in the last 5 years. For more information on the Caddy program, visit cohoutandoneill.com.
You work hard and you play hard, and let's face it, sometimes it hurts. That's why people around the world depend on Tiger Balm. Tiger Balm goes right to your aches and pains. Made from a blend of herbal ingredients, Tiger Balm is the nation's #1 selling pain-relieving ointment. Rub it in, and it works. Available in ultra strength and a convenient hydrogel patch. So whatever your age or lifestyle, roar back with Tiger Balm. It works where it hurts. Available at stores everywhere.
Play legendary golf at French Lick Resort, the only place in the country where you can play courses by 2 Hall of Fame designers on the same property. Our Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses offer 2 very different challenges. Experience them both and save with our Hall of Fame package. Our 2 historic hotels are unique as well. Cap it off with a fun visit to the French Lick Casino. Check us out online at FrenchLick.com. Bring a group and save even more. Play legendary golf this season at French Lick Resort.
Hi, I'm Brian Hammons. Golf can be frustrating for both beginners and accomplished players. If you want to eliminate that frustration and really enjoy the game, take lessons, and not from just anybody. Go to the Anderson Country Club. You don't need to be a member to take lessons. Director of Golf Brian Garrett and head PGA professional Zach Dreyer will help you achieve your goals in golf, whether you're just beginning or trying to make the tour. To set up a lesson, go to AndersonCountryClub.net.
You're catering a wedding, and the bride says,
"Everyone is raving about the hors d'oeuvres.
My aunt was asking if you do corporate events.
Now is the time when the right business card is essential, and Vistaprint can help. Head to Vistaprint.com and you can customize 500 cards starting at just $9.99. You choose the paper, the shape, and the finish. Whatever your style, create a card that gives you the confidence to own the now. So head to Vistaprint.com and get 500 business cards starting at $9.99. Use promo code 3636 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 3636.
I'm attorney Mitch Pippin. Maybe you've heard some of my commercials in the past and wondered, who is this guy? Well, I graduated from Delta High School in 1988 and Ball State in 1992. After graduating from law school just 3 years later, I've represented over 1,000 folks with their injury claims. I've done so with great success, 0 disciplinary complaints, and an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If you've been injured and need help in dealing with the insurance company, call me at 282-0282 or visit MitchPippinLaw.com.
Gonna go out and play some golf, yeah, I'm gonna go out and play some golf. My golf bag's full of the latest stuff. I'm gonna go out and play some golf. My putter alone was $1,000. I'm gonna go out and suck at golf.
And you have a chance to get out and play some golf this week here at the Anderson Country Club. Welcome back to the Golf Show, brought to you by Cohoed and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, the PGA Tour Superstore. Brian Garrett is with us, the Director of Golf and General Manager here at the Anderson Country Club. And big event coming up Friday, if I do say so myself, the St. Vincent Classic for Kids. And joining us now on the phone on I-65 on our way back to Anderson's from Chicago is Nancy Anderson, the Foundation Director of the St. Vincent Northeast region. First of all, Nancy, give us a traffic update. How's traffic?
You know, it's pretty smooth this morning. That's all I have to say. I'm traveling down south on 65 right now. Yeah, lots of semis out here, though.
Well, that's a given. It's I-65.
Yeah.
Big week. It's a big week for you because you put a lot of work into this, the St. Vincent Classic for Kids year-round, and it's this Friday here at the Anderson Country Club, and we've got another big event planned this year.
Yes. Believe it or not, this is our 35th year. And it's hard to believe that it started with, Roby and Erskine and John Eddy and some of these guys that had the forethought to think, we need to do a nice celebrity event in Anderson at the beautiful Anderson Country Club and raise money for our children in Madison County. And, and here we are 35 years later still kicking it. So we're really...
the feedback that I get, Nancy, the feedback that I get from players and a lot of the celebrities especially is this is the best tournament and their favorite tournament that they play all year. So you've done a great job putting this together. It is a really good time. Tell our listeners what charities benefit from this.
So the charity, it benefits the St. Vincent Anderson Foundation, and it benefits all of our funds that affect children. So the Children's Clinic obviously has been a long-time benefactor of this event, but over the recent years we found that we're needing some additional funds to support kids with special needs, and so those kids that attend our residential day school at the Anderson Center, as well as those children that actually seek out some additional therapy through our equine therapy program in partnership with Agape Therapeutic Riding Resources out in Cicero. And that's an expensive program, believe it or not, but it benefits those therapies that allow children with behavioral or special needs to actually work with horses to kind of work through some of those therapies. So it's just, we decided to kind of expand the reach, and all of our programs now are benefiting from this one event.
Yeah, it's a great cause, and it's $250 per player, $1,000 a foursome, but it gets you more than just a round of golf with a celebrity in your group. I mean, there's a night before party. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've always tried, I think this is our 6th year. I'm losing track, actually. It's kind of tied into the day of golf. And what we are doing is the night before, as part of your golfer registration, you get to attend this party, but it's strictly a party. It's casual atmosphere. We have Corey Cox on hand to perform. In years past, we've had Carl Erskine and his trio perform. We've got all kinds of great food that's provided by the country club, and we just have a lot of fun. And that's what it's all about, just, an opportunity to get people together, to hear about our charity, to raise some money for good causes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's for a great cause. We have a really good celebrity list this year too. So again, just if you want to play, you put a foursome in, or you can play as an individual. You will have a local celebrity in your group, and we have a really good celebrity field. Bill Brooks, the former Colts receiver, who's in the Ring of Honor, is playing this year. We have former Colts. We have a lot of the members of the Pacers broadcast team. They're playing a lot of local newscasters and weathercasters in Indianapolis that are playing. So it's a really good celebrity field. It's a lot of fun. How can you enter if any of our listeners are interested, Nancy?
They can enter online by simply, registering via the website at St. Vincent Classic 2019.eventbrite.com. Pretty simple. Or they can call the country club or the foundation office at 646-8710. Again, that's
St. Vincent Classic 2019.eventbrite.com, and we encourage you. We still have some room available. We have, if you're a single, you can play. We'll pair you up with a good team, or if you want to enter a foursome, we have some room available, but we probably will sell out, so get to it quickly because we'd love to see you out here come Friday for the St. Vincent Classic for Kids. Nancy, we'll let you put both hands back on the wheel. Drive safely, and thanks for your time this morning.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Nancy.
It really is a good tournament, and you're going to be on the first tee. You and Zach are going to be on the first tee, and for a small fee, you're going to hit the tee shot at the par 5 and the second shot to the par 5. And if that's not an automatic eagle, nothing is.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get you close, if not on the green, so you can make an eagle.
Well, you better.
Yeah, we may be disappointed. That's a lot of swings. We may be somewhat disappointed to some, but I think we'll pull together and do well for them. It's going to be a fun event. I can't wait. It's always one of my favorite events to hang out at, and unfortunately I have to work, but it's a fun event to be here for.
Again, last time, if you're interested, you can sign up. St. Vincent Classic 2019.eventbrite.com. It's a great event. You'll be glad that you participated. It's certainly a tax write-off. We hope to see you out here on Friday. Noon shotgun here at the Anderson Country Club. We've just got a couple of minutes left, Brian, and I know when we were talking to Tom Meeks, you were kind of rolling your eyes a little bit. You have some thoughts on U.S. Open setups.
Well, I just think you could tell. Tom's great. I mean, obviously did a great job for a lot of years, but you can really tell in the tone in what he says about the protection of par. You don't ever hear that at the Masters. You don't ever hear that from our guy at the PGA of America, who I think does a phenomenal job, Kerry Hay. You don't ever hear those kinds of things. So turning par 5s into par 4s and things like that. The protection of par it seems ingrained at the USGA, and that's fine. When you really start to protect par, you have the best players in the world. They are world class. They are 10 times better than the best player at your club. You have to challenge them to par. You have to toe the line, just like he said. So if we can get away from trying to protect par or worry about par, then I think that you'll have a better championship overall. And I think that a lot of the criticism will kind of go away, and it'll be more about the players, the venue, and the championship itself. There's so, like Dave said, Dave Marr, there's so many storylines. You've got Brooks Koepka trying to win 3 in a row, which is incredible. Obviously Tiger Woods. You've got a lot of the other players who can win this tournament because it's not a big ballpark. So I just hope this week that nothing gets crazy, and I hope it's all about the golf. Pebble Beach it's all about the venue, the Pacific Ocean. And the best part about this for us is we have major championship golf in prime time.
Absolutely.
How freaking awesome is that? I can't wait.
Absolutely.
Sunday night at 9:30, we're going to be watching championship golf after everybody's, calmed down for the day.
All right, less than a minute. Who's your winner next week?
I'm gonna go with Brooks Koepka.
Wow.
Until somebody beats him.
All right, there you have it. Brian Garrett, thanks for joining us this morning. And we'd like to thank our guests, David Marr III, Tom Meeks, and Nancy Anderson, and thank you for listening. We'll be back again next week with another edition of The Golf Show on the new WHBU and Muncie Sports Radio.